Hello and welcome to CYC News for the 27th of September 2020 and the 17th of Tut 1737 AM. I'm Bishoy Basilius. In today's headlines, Lebanon explosion destroys Hezbollah arms depot. The US unveils new sanctions targeting arms sales. European migration, the EU plans mandatory pact to rebuild trust. Qantas ends its 30-year partnership with Rugby Australia. Almost 400 pilot whales die in Tasmania. US COVID-19 death toll passes 200,000, and Barcelona agrees to sell Luis Suarez to Atletico Madrid. But first to Lebanon, where a big explosion in the south of the country has destroyed what security sources said was a Hezbollah arms depot. The blast sent a huge plume of black smoke into the air above the village of Ain Qantas, which is a stronghold of the militant Shia Islamist movement. Ambulances rushed to the scene amid unconfirmed reports of several wounded. One security source said the blast was caused by a technical error, although the state news agency noted that it had coincided with Israeli overflights. In a statement, the Lebanese army said the explosion occurred in a building about 3 p.m. local time. It said, instantly an army force arrived at the site and launched an investigation into the causes of the blast. There was no immediate comment from Hezbollah, although the group's TV channel Al-Manar said the explosion happened in one of Ain Qantas' houses and that the cause was unknown. It added that no casualties were reported. American newspaper The Wall Street Journal cited an official with Hezbollah's media unit as saying the blast happened at a center where explosive remnants of the 2006 war between Hezbollah and Israel were stored. The explosion further rattled a country that is still trying to recover from the devastating blast in Beirut in August, which killed almost 200 people. The US has imposed new sanctions on Iran after other powers rejected its demand to reinstate UN measures that were lifted under a 2015 nuclear deal. US President Donald Trump issued an executive order that opens up foreign governments and companies to economic penalties if they sell weapons to Iran. He also announced sanctions against 24 entities and people involved in Iran's nuclear, missile, and conventional arms-related activities. Iran said they would have no effect. President Trump declared on Monday that his new executive order was critical to enforcing the UN arms embargo. He said, the order will greatly diminish the Iranian regime's capacity to export arms to terrorists and dangerous actors throughout the region, as well as its ability to acquire weapons to build up its own forces. The new sanctions will block the property and interest in property in the US of those who contribute to the supply, sale, or transfer of conventional arms to or from Iran, as well as those who provide technical training, financial support and services, and other related assistance. Under the nuclear deal, the P5+1 group of world powers, China, France, Russia, the UK, the US, and Germany, gave Iran sanctions in return for limits on its nuclear program. They sought to prevent Iran from developing a nuclear weapon, something it denies wanting to do. Over to Europe now, where the European Union has called for a compulsory system across the bloc to manage migration. The announcement comes after years of division over how to respond to a big influx of migrants and refugees. The German-backed pact would require all 27 EU countries to take part. Member states would either agree to take in asylum seekers or take charge of sending back those refused asylum. European Commission head Ursula von der Leyen said, "We are proposing today a European solution to rebuild trust between member states and to restore citizens' confidence in our capacity to manage migration as a union." But the plans have been criticized both by human rights groups and governments opposed to taking in migrants. Ever since the influx of over 1 million migrants and refugees in 2015, mainly via Italy and Greece, the EU's 27 states have been divided over how to respond, and the new pact has already attracted criticism. Italy and Greece have accused wealthier northern countries of failing to do enough, but a number of Central and Eastern European nations have been openly resistant to the idea of taking in a quota of migrants. The new pact, which has been pushed most strongly by German Chancellor Angela Merkel, proposes what is described as a fair sharing of responsibility and solidarity between member states, while providing certainty for individual applicants. Rugby Australia's finances have suffered another blow as Qantas ended a 30-year partnership with the organisation. The Australian airline has been seeking cost savings because of the coronavirus pandemic, which has severely affected the travel industry. RA's interim chief executive Rob Clark said, "While it's disappointing to lose a loyal partner, it is understandable." The airline had already said it was losing another 2,500 jobs and had posted an annual pre-tax loss of $2.7 billion. In a statement, Qantas Chief Customer Officer Stephanie Tully said, "While we're dealing with this crisis and its aftermath, the cash cost of our sponsorships has to be zero. Qantas has had a very long association with Rugby Australia and the Wallabies, and we've stuck with each other during difficult times. Unfortunately, this pandemic has been the undoing." It said it was stopping cash sponsorship of all sports, but would continue to support Cricket Australia and Football Federation Australia for another year by other means, such as flights and marketing. About 380 whales have died in what is suspected to be Australia's largest stranding on record, officials say. Since Monday, hundreds of long-finned pilot whales have been found beached on Tasmania's west coast. However, rescuers had managed to save 94 whales by late on Friday. At the time, Tasmanian government officials said the rescue effort would continue as long as there were live animals. Nick Decker said, "While they're still alive and in water, there's still hope for them, but as time goes on, they do become more fatigued." He added focus would now also shift to removing the hundreds of carcasses scattered along the coast. A team of about 60 people used slings and other equipment to help pull the whales off the sandbanks so they are fully immersed in water. Once the whales are refloated, they are guided back into deeper waters. Rescuers said they had escorted 50 whales back into the sea, which they deemed a success. It is not fully understood why the whales became stranded, but the species is known to be prone to getting beached. The stranding, one of the largest globally, eclipses a previous national record of 320 set in Western Australia in 1996. To some health news, and the US COVID-19 death toll has passed 200,000 according to data from Johns Hopkins University. More than 6.9 million people have been infected in the US, more than in any other country. The unfortunate milestone comes amid an increase in cases in a number of states, including North Dakota and Utah. JHU reported the new initial death toll of 200,005 on Tuesday. The university has been collecting US and global coronavirus data since the outbreak began late last year in China. There is growing concern that infections will continue to increase during the winter months. US infectious disease expert Anthony Fauci warned earlier this month that Americans should hunker down for autumn and winter. On Monday, the CDC removed guidance on airborne transmission of coronavirus that had been updated on Friday. In the now removed advice, the CDC said the virus could spread via particles that remain in the air and advised on the use of air purifiers indoors. The CDC said that this was a draft version of proposed changes and had been posted in error. The World Health Organization says evidence for aerosol transmission is not strong, and the main route is person-to-person spread through larger respiratory droplets from coughs and sneezes. But it acknowledges that in enclosed, crowded spaces with inadequate ventilation, aerosol transmission could occur. And in sport, Barcelona have agreed to let striker Luis Suarez join La Liga rivals Atletico Madrid on a 2-year deal. Suarez is not wanted at Barca, and the Catalans were happy to release him for free, providing he did not join certain other top clubs. The Uruguayan agreed terms on a reduced salary with Atletico after a move to Juventus fell through because of passport issues. Barcelona chairman Josep Maria Bartomeu then blocked the deal because he did not wish to sell to a Spanish rival. But after meeting with Suarez's representatives, the Catalan club backed down, with the striker threatening to air his grievances to the media. Atletico will have to pay a nominal fee of approximately €6 million for the 33-year-old, which will be based on variables such as Champions League qualification. Suarez will earn half of the €30 million a year he was on at Barca at Atletico. The move ends Suarez's 6-year career with Barca, during which he scored 198 goals in 283 appearances and formed one-third of a feud front three with Lionel Messi and Neymar. He joined the club for £74 million from Liverpool in 2014 and helped them win 4 La Liga titles, 4 Copa del Reys and the Champions League and Club World Cup in 2015. And that's all for CYC News. A reminder that you can watch this news bulletin again throughout the week on YouTube. I'm Bishoy Basilius from the CYC studios in Sydney, Australia. See you next time.